Hey everyone, welcome to Outlander Media Network. I'm Ashley Watkins, and today I'm joined by singer-songwriter Sierra Levesque. Hi Sierra, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I love that background you got there. Those all your
Thank
guitars?
Yes, thank you. I just recently came back to Canada for the holidays, so this is my music room. I have a few too many, but I do love using all of them for different sounds, different shows, and just very grateful. So yes, these are my babies.
I love it. I love it. And you've got something for probably anything that you want to do or play, right?
Yes, for sure. I have acoustic, electric, all different sounds, brands, vibes. So it's great to have.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about your musical journey. Just kind of how you got into music, if there's anyone in your family that influenced you, or why music?
For sure. Well, I would say it started around the age of 3. I was in the car with my parents, and I remember the story that they heard me singing along to a song by Avril Lavigne, and I knew all the words. So I guess that's when they kind of realized that somehow I'd memorized that, and they decided to put me into musical theater. So I did a whole bunch of musicals like Aladdin, Willy Wonka, and my biggest role I was Annie in Annie. So kind of like throughout my childhood, I loved doing that. That really helped me to start getting like comfortable on the stage, learning lyrics. I wasn't the best at dancing, so we'll not talk about that.
That's
But
okay.
the music part was the best part, I would say. So yeah, I did that. And then at the age of 7 is when I started taking singing and piano lessons because I always loved, watching especially Avril Lavigne and Axl Rose playing piano and singing. That was always a big thing. So my parents decided to put me into that. And then at the age of 10, I did started drumming lessons. At the age of 12, guitar lessons, and at the age of 13, bass. So I would say around that time, 12 was when I had to decide, okay, am I gonna go into Broadway, like musical theater side of it, or stay in the instrument music side. And I decided to stay in the music side because I'd been writing, little songs. They weren't too great, but little songs ever since the age of 7. And that's where I really started to find my passion and kind of what my natural abilities lied. It was in songwriting. So yeah, I decided to focus on that. And ever since the age of 12, I've been performing everywhere I can and just writing songs and kind of practicing, working on my craft. So yeah, that's, I would say, the short version of how I got started. Went from musical theater to now rock.
Yeah, that is so cool. And that is quite, a little progression there. But I think it's so awesome that you have influences outside of rock music too, that you had, a different musical base that you kind of started with and it evolved into this love for rock music. That is really cool. What is it about rock music that you connect with the most? And why is that the genre that you feel drawn to write in?
Yeah, it's a really good question because I mean, there's so many answers. I just love like a lot about rock music, but I would say it's kind of in my blood. I grew up listening to all the 80s music that my dad loved, like Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, then earlier even like Black Sabbath, Ozzy, all those bands. I would literally fall asleep on car rides too. Like it was my soothing music. So even though it's
Totally.
loud for some people, for me it was kind of like a lullaby. And yeah, I would say just ever since I was young, I grew up again watching music videos. We're a big like MTV music video family, so we'll watch like the music video channels, especially 80s. And I think just especially the guitars, when I would hear electric guitars paired with those powerful vocals, that's kind of what I liked. I also liked the attitude, rock and roll attitude is definitely different than any other genre. I always grew up liking that, and I always also kind of felt like an outcast, and I felt that a lot of the rock people who I looked up to would say that that's how they felt as well. I know that's in other genres too, but I found that rock was really where I found that I fit in. So yeah, as soon as I started writing music, I didn't really focus on saying I want to write rock, but it kind of blended into rock since that's where my main inspirations are. And I would say, when you listen to my music, I will be putting out, a bigger catalog soon, but when you listen to one song, you'll hear certain aspects, like maybe a bit more pop influenced, and then when you hear another, you'll hear more of that rock, even some metal. So I'd say my writing kind of has taken all my inspirations and tried to blend them together. But rock is just where I naturally belong, I feel. And yeah, just any chance to get an electric guitar in with those high, powerful vocals is where I love. So. that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you were really influenced by, what your parents listened to growing up and kind of what they showed you. And then you felt really connected to the music and the genre. So you mentioned a couple artists there. But my next question for you was, what are your biggest musical influences? Are there any particular artists that you feel drawn to the most? And it doesn't have to be rock, because you mentioned your
Yeah.
influence from pop music too.
Yeah, I would say it definitely has changed. I would say it might even change every day. I have so many influences, but my big ones that I always go back to, I love Ghost. It's like a Swedish rock band,
Oh,
metal.
cool.
Love them, but like again, their music you can kind of hear the progression of, like lighter, heavier. I love how they can do all aspects of it from piano bass to strings to heavy guitars. I love that about them. So Ghost is my number one favorite band ever and just like would love to work with them someday. Avril Lavigne, that's the more pop
Hmm.
rock. A lot of people sometimes compare me to her, like with my sound, especially her earlier sound. So that's always a great compliment. I love her. And again, she has piano-based songs as well as guitar-based songs, which I love. So her for that. I also love Heart. Anne and Nancy Wilson have been big inspirations, not only for me, but for all female musicians.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
them. Yeah, I mean, Scorpions, they're also another big one that I find a lot of inspiration. And that's also kind of tied back to the part where they can do a lot of different sounds. They go from really quiet, nice, high vocals to then hitting you in the face with the riffs. But yeah, it's kind of like a progression. So I do love bands and artists that, have that ability to change from nice and soft and quiet with strings and acoustic to the whole other side with electric, loud. And yeah, I would say those four acts really are my main inspirations, but I could name so many other bands that have inspired me for specific songs or specific shows that I do even. Sometimes I'll say, okay, today I definitely sound like I was listening to Iron Maiden because this riff I'm writing could be a copy of them. So yeah, it kind
Totally.
of depends. But yeah, there's so many. Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, ABBA, love ABBA. Yeah, just like so many. I could go on naming different artists forever. But yeah, I would say those are my main few for sure.
I love that you're influenced by so many different artists like that. That means that you're really kind of keeping your ear open and listening. I think that's so important as a musician, and that's like really how we grow for sure. So I think that's really
Yeah,
cool. I love that you mentioned Heart, because I'm kind of
yeah,
obsessed with them too. I had
I
like a
am.
stage when I was younger. Alone was like my favorite song on repeat. And they are
Yep.
such iconic females in rock, which is so awesome. I'm going to have to check out Ghost because I've never heard of them before.
Yeah, they
So I'm going
are.
to
I
add them to
actually
my list.
When you were saying that, I completely forgot you were asking also about non-rock. And my main person who's non-rock in like any way is Lana Del Rey. I'm
Ah,
also obsessed,
okay.
fully obsessed with Lana Del Rey, which is bad. Like my phone screensaver is actually Lana Del Rey. Like every day I look at her and there she
Oh, I
is.
love it. I love it.
That's my non-rock side. Again, kind of the soft vibes, the cool but like soft. That's also what I like. So, as I said, I have so many, but for non-rock, I would say she's my main one.
That's very cool. So it sounds like what you appreciate a lot in music is dynamic. Because it sounds like you
Mhm.
like the heavier stuff, but you really like softer stuff too. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I
Cool.
would say
How
that's
does, oh, go ahead.
the main thing. All right, I was just gonna say that's the main thing I kind of look for when I'm listening to a new band or even a band I just discovered. I kind of like to see where their dynamics are. Like, oh, this album is this a little bit different than that album, and kind of like to see the progression of their music. So please go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, very cool. No, I think that's really cool. And how do you bring that influence of dynamic into the music you write? And tell us a little bit about your songwriting process, kind of while you're at it. Do you write mostly alone? Do you collaborate with other writers or producers? And how do you kind of draw that influence into your writing?
Yeah, well, for me, I usually like to write like in the moment. I would say I don't usually sit down and say I'm going to write about this or with this vibe. It kind of always comes randomly, which I find strange when I think about it because I don't know how. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know why. But yeah, one day I could write a song just on my piano here that's nice and soft, but I do always like to stick with those big choruses. So whether it's electric, acoustic, whatever it is, I love like a catchy, repeatable chorus. So that's I'd say where my
Gotcha.
songwriting put together is there. But yeah, I really just like trying to experiment with different sounds, different vibes. Like I recently have been writing a lot of like 90s inspired songs, kind of similar to Smashing Pumpkins and like
Okay.
System of a Down. So I kind of go through different phases, but overall I try to write different vibes depending on the song. So it could be soft, loud. I always try to make sure not all my songs sound the same because there's so
Mhm.
many great bands. All their songs are like the same chords, and I love them too. Like I could listen to those songs all day, but for me, I always find that I don't feel that I'm growing unless I write something that sounds slightly different than what I wrote last. So that's what I love writing. And yeah, my songwriting process in general, I have been writing alone up until now. I'm kind of in 2025 is my year of exploring into collaborations, so I'm going to be starting that in January when I go back to LA. But right now, yeah, I've just been writing by myself ever since I was young. Just writing all the parts. Usually it starts with either a guitar riff, piano melody, or a lyric idea. I would say most recently it's been a guitar riff, and then I kind of build from that. But yeah, it's just been me, and that's maybe a curse or a blessing because sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't help. If I had someone else helping me right now, maybe I'd get things done a bit faster, but I am lucky enough to be taking a online course right now. Actually, I'm in college, but fully online, and I'm doing a Bachelor of Arts in Songwriting. So
Oh,
technically,
that's
my
so
whole
cool.
doing that from Berklee College of Music online, and that's kind of helped me, learn all the great techniques all the other songwriters, amazing songwriters have learned and used. So that's helped a lot. But yeah, up until now, fully alone, but looking forward to trying out some collabs next year for sure.
That'll be great. I'm excited to see your journey as you start to collaborate because it definitely does open up new doors, I think, when you bring in other minds and other musical minds. But it's very impressive that you write so much of your music by yourself. I know that your most recent single, Authority, right? Is it true that you played all the instruments on the track?
Yes, yeah, that's what I do for all my songs as of now. Because since I did learn all the instruments at a younger age, now luckily I have the ability to just do at least a minimalist version of it on the recording. I'm not the best drummer in the world, so maybe one day I'll get a different drummer to help me out. But for now, I'm just trying to get my ideas out there. So I like to do everything. I do it here in my home studio. I set up all my instruments. Usually, again, I start with the bass. Actually depends on the song. Sometimes it's guitar and piano, then I add the bass, then drums. It really depends on where the ideas are coming from. I always do vocals last because I like to do them on top
Hmm.
of like
A finished
completing.
product. Hmm.
But yeah, it's been fun. Again, I'm just able to do whatever I want then. I'm able to let my ideas out, and it's just easier right now for where I am, especially there's not too many musicians in my area, so it would be a little bit difficult. I'd have to do it probably virtually to have other ones.
Hmm.
But I hope to have more musicians on my recordings. But for now, it's a band of Sierras that you're hearing.
I love that. That's very impressive though, and it's not something that you hear of all the time. I think it probably gives you a really great perspective of the whole songwriting process and probably helps you when it comes to post-production too, knowing a little bit more of what you want, what kind of sound you want. Is that correct?
For sure, yeah. I'm always like co-producing. I always have a vision for my songs before I do them. I always have like reference songs of what I hear in my head for that. And yeah, all the instruments I kind of pick slightly different sounds per song. I know my main ones that I stick to, but yeah, I'm just able to have more control. And one day I would love to get into like a real studio and do everything. But for now, it's been working out here this way, especially since COVID, that's when I started
Hmm.
doing all. So yeah, for now it's been working great, but one day I would love to make the switch to in person, so we'll see. But yeah, all my music to date has been just recorded here and all by me. So you know what? I'm just glad that people are enjoying it and hopefully much more to come and even better quality to come one day for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It gives you room to grow. And like you said, 2025 year of collabs. So maybe you will get in that live studio with other musicians. You never know. So tell us a little bit about this new single, Authority. I know you mentioned you played all the instruments. Kind of what's the story behind it? Like what inspired this tune?
Well, I think the first memory I have about it was my dad. He's kind of like my manager a little bit, like he helps me out, he helps bounce off of ideas, he helps me plan stuff. So one day he said to me, I want you to try to write a riff inspired by Megadeth, because I was listening to a lot of Megadeth at the time. And a heavy riff, kind of like repeated, and the riff for Authority was what I came up with. It also kind of reminded me of Zach Wild a bit. He has a few songs that have this same vibe. Love Zach Wild as well from Ozzy and so many great projects. So yeah, I wrote the riff and then I started writing the verse chords. And usually when that happens, I just hear a melody. So I heard like the melody of the verse and I was feeling angry. This was kind of written at the end of my high school days. And high school wasn't my favorite. I mean, I did have good grades, luckily, but the whole social side and like teachers and authority figures, I always had like a feeling that I wanted to, stand up, like something would happen and I'd go home and say, shoot, I should have said that, or I should have done that today instead of what I did, but I didn't do it. And I feel like some people feel that way. They wish they could stand up and say something, rise up against people who try to tell you what to do. But, sometimes it's just better to stay quiet in the situation, depending on what it is. So that's what I wrote this song about. I wrote it about rising up against authority. I hate authority. I'm not conforming, won't ever be the person they want me to be. And kind of just about anyone. It could be teacher, employer, anyone. It could be a family member, anyone who has ever made someone feel that way. I wanted this to be a song for them to, feel that they're rising up, even if they can't in real life. So yeah, that's where the vibe came from, and just love the rock rebellion as I was mentioning earlier. So I felt that this was a good like anthem for that.
I love that. I think it is absolutely. I mean, it definitely has that like quintessential like rock spirit behind it. Lyrically, the guitar riffs, your vocals, all of that. I could totally see where that influence comes from, and I think you absolutely nailed it. I think that's really exciting. I also read that you collaborate with Ron Bumblefoot as your producer. I want to hear a little bit about that and like how did you guys first connect and how is that working with him?
Yeah, it's really cool. As I said, I grew up loving Guns N' Roses, especially their Chinese Democracy album. It's underrated. A lot of people, for some reason, have hate, but it's probably my favorite album by them of all time because my dad also loves that one and my parents. So yeah, Bumblefoot, he was in Guns N' Roses for quite a long time. I always knew him from there. Even when I was younger, we had fish, like pets as fish, and one of them was named Bumblefoot because that's how much we loved. So it's a very strange story that this would all connect. But in COVID, I had a guitar teacher here in my hometown of Canada, and unfortunately, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so at that moment, I knew that I had to hopefully find a new teacher because I wanted to keep learning. I wanted to expand my skills still. And I thought, you know what? If I could have any guitar teacher, who would I have? And I thought, hey, Bumblefoot. So I had met him at a guitar clinic in 2019 in Ottawa, near where I live, and he followed me on Instagram. So that was in itself, I was so excited. And then when COVID happened, I reached out to him, asked if he would consider doing online guitar lessons, and he said yes, because that was kind of right when everything was shutting down. So in April of 2020 is when or 2020 or 2021, I think it was 2020, is when I started doing online lessons. And I also told him about my own music, and he offered to help me with producing it. So that was amazing. And ever since then, now I've recorded and completely finished with him, I think 25 songs. So I have a lot of
Wow,
music ready. Now it's just been a process of choosing which ones to release and how. So I do have quite a lot of music
that
ready.
is a
But yeah,
lot. Yeah.
very helpful, a great mentor and guitar, music, and the music business as well, because he's been in so many bands. So it kind of helps me with like learning. He's also helped me with getting performance opportunities, which has been amazing. So yeah, just a great person to know and to be working with, and so grateful for his help.
So it sounds like beyond being a guitar teacher and a producer, he's quite a bit of a mentor to you as well.
Yes, for sure. He's definitely like helped me with all types of music business things, whether it's, registering songs for copyright, all that
Mhm.
stuff. Just any question I have, he usually definitely knows the answer and has stories of when it's worked out for him, when it hasn't worked out. So he helps me with knowing what the best thing is to do for sure.
That's so helpful to have somebody that does know the music business better, especially since things are constantly changing as new technology comes into play and the rules and the laws and things keep expanding and changing. It's great that you have somebody to kind of help guide you on the way.
For sure. It's definitely been great. And especially during COVID, that's when I was really like trying to build my music and get everything sorted out, start working on social media, posting more. So it was great, especially during those years, to have him there, like helping me as well. Because without him during COVID, I probably wouldn't have done nearly as much as I did music related. So it was great.
That's really great. That's awesome. So you filmed a music video for Authority too, is that correct?
Yes, I did. Yeah, that was my second official music video I did. And yeah, always fun. And
How
hopefully people
involved
are like,
how involved were you in the process of kind of coming up with a concept for the film and executing that?
Well, I was fully self-directed and self-filmed. So I
So
was
yes, very involved.
yeah, I really, I haven't really gotten to the big budget stage yet. I'm still fully independent and the main people who help me are my parents. So for this music video, luckily my mom was there. We used my iPhone and luckily the iPhones are getting better and better with recording quality. So it does not look too bad. But yeah, usually for this second video, for my first video it was more a ballad, a sad song. It was for my song called Wrong About You. And
Mhm.
that one I actually went into a church here in my hometown and kind of like turned all the lights off and had this idea for just showing different shots of me playing piano. And then for Authority, I knew I wanted live footage in there. At first, the music video was going to be fully live, like only shots of me performing the song live, because I've done it quite a lot and I have quite a few videos. But then I had the idea to kind of, add more of a storyline. So I went into my apartment in LA. I went in the stairwell and I filmed different videos of me in the stairwell running and singing the words. And it kind of turned into more of a story about, like, in my mind, I was backstage in the stairwell. I don't know if this translates, but in my mind, I was backstage. And then in the choruses, it switches to live. So it's almost like a switch between backstage and on stage. But in general, I just wanted to capture that angry energy, and I feel that I did that, hopefully. So yeah, that's what I did, and I edit all the videos in Final Cut Pro on my computer. Currently, I'm taking a course on how to do that better because I've never learned. So hopefully for the next video, it'll be even better. But yeah, it's kind of just something I wanted to try, and I'm glad that people are hopefully liking it.
That is so awesome. I think props to you because that is really kind of the epitome of being an independent artist, right? Is learning how to do a little bit of everything. You really do. You have to be kind of your own producer, your own social media manager, your own editor. So it's awesome
Yeah.
that you're really diving in and just figuring it out.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely glad that I have had the chance to try all of it myself because then one day if I do it with a team or with other people, then I kind of know how I want it done a little bit more and how it's supposed to be done a little bit more. So I know that there's going to be so many more people with more knowledge, but at least now I have like a, like a base for it.
Exactly. And I think it's also really impressive that you're just kind of getting out there and doing it and just starting. I think so I do music as well, and I'm also an independent artist. And I think I see like one of the things that holds people back so much is they feel like they don't have the tools yet, or they don't have the budget yet, so they just don't do anything. They're just waiting kind of to get everything in line to kind of be this perfect storm to create something. But I love that you're just kind of diving in there and using the tools that you have and making the best thing that you can right now, knowing that you'll grow. I think that's really inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there was a chance like during COVID I could have released music, but yeah, I was kind of just waiting, for the moment, and now I decided might as well get as much out there as I can. So now I'm just putting out different
Exactly.
singles, throwing it and seeing what happens. So I do understand that fear. I did have that fear for quite a while was,
Mhm.
oh, like when should I do it? I'm waiting for the moment, I'm waiting for a label, I'm waiting for someone, but you know what? No one's gonna look at you if you don't have anything out. So that's what I
Yep.
decided to do. Know what?
It's
Might as
so
well
true.
start putting. Yeah.
I love that. That is so inspiring. And so not only are you creating all of this media to put out there, you're playing live shows too. I saw that you played, I think, two recent shows in LA. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. I was living in LA for the whole summer doing a music internship. And so I was quite busy with that. I was working in a music studio and actually we were working on some TV shows and I was doing like the sound for it. So helping with sound effects and like
Oh,
in with
wow.
the editing. So that was fun, but I was quite busy. So I was like, you know what? As soon as this is done, I'm gonna try my best to hustle before I have to go back to Canada and do at least a few shows. So when my internship ended early September, I started looking for anywhere where I could perform. I have performed in LA before. In 2023, I performed two shows at the Whiskey A Go-Go. That was amazing. And so after that, it's just like trying to come up with more show ideas and more venues. And so, yeah, this past month I performed at a record store on Hollywood Boulevard, which was very fun. You know, I love record stores, I love vinyl, so I thought great combination. And then my second show was actually at a event place, also a coffee shop owned by Serge Tankian, who's the singer of System of a Down. And I love System of a Down. As I mentioned, I'm again diehard fan. So when I had the chance to meet him earlier this summer at a book signing, I kind of try to get my way in there. And I was saying, hey, like I'm a musician, if there's any opportunities ever. And luckily, the manager of the space, Carlos, he was able to schedule something with me. So I told Serge, thanked him, and I actually did my official song release show there. So that was amazing, especially because System of a Down, big fan. So I had to play one of their songs at that show. But yeah, it was great. And just glad I was able to do a few shows before I came back to Canada. It was very fun.
That is so cool. And so cool that you're getting to meet and work with some of your inspirations. I mean, at such a young age, already getting to do that is pretty epic.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to move to LA because, there's so much going on. Everyone's there and living here in a small town in Canada, you're always watching Instagram and saying, oh, shoot, he's there this weekend. I could have gone. So this summer, that's all I did. I just went to every event that I saw advertised. I got to meet Julia Michaels, the amazing songwriter. She was so great. I just got to meet so many cool people because I was in the right place. I got to see Smashing Pumpkins perform live twice at a radio show and then on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Like I was just kind of going anywhere I could. I was waiting in lines for hours. I didn't care. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna seize the moment. I'm in LA, so I might as well just do all of it. And that's what I did, which is definitely kind of the mindset you have to have if you want to make connections. So I think it helped and just looking forward to going back and doing more of that.
Absolutely. And you're definitely learning, even when you're just going to a concert as an audience member. I know, you're always learning because you're watching what the performers are doing, how their stage presence is. You can always take, little clues and little ideas for yourself from every artist you see. So I think that's really awesome that you're really getting out there and just diving in with every opportunity you can.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always fun. And I'm just a big music fan in general. So any chance I get to watch a show or meet someone, I'm there. I mean, I'm always going to be a music fan. So that will never change no matter where I am, what award shows I might get to go to. I'll always be the one saying like, oh my goodness, so nice to meet you. Because I'm just a big fan of so many artists. So hopefully that will just keep happening and I'll get to go to more and more places, especially now living in LA part-time has been great. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
That's awesome. And your shows that you did recently, were you playing as a solo, like just a solo artist, just guitar and voice, or did you have a full band behind you?
Yeah, whenever I perform, if it's an acoustic show, it's just me and my acoustic guitar, so that's pretty easy. But when it is a full show, I actually have recorded myself playing the other instruments. So I've recorded myself playing
Okay,
drums,
cool.
piano, synthesizer, and then I play guitar and sing and sometimes even piano on top of them. So it's kind of like a band of Sierras. And one
Gotcha.
day I'd love to have a backing band. It would be great. But time, money,
Hmm.
people, not always great to have, especially last minute. If you book a show next week and you don't have a full roster of people ready with the knowledge of all the songs, it's a little bit hard. So one day I'd love to have that. But for now, I'm doing it fully solo and it's also kind of like something different. People don't usually see that. Usually, if it's backing tracks, bands will use backing tracks or like a hip hop artist or even pop artists today.
Hmm.
All the main roles I would see, pop artists singing and there's backing tracks. I even saw Post Malone last year, not last year, sorry, a few years ago. And yeah, it was just Post Malone on the stage with a backing track. And I was like, you know what? Why isn't this in rock yet? Because I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, people have an anger towards it when it's in rock, but any other genre, backing tracks are fine. So I'm kind of trying to bring it together, you know? I mean, hey, it's me playing all the instruments. There's no fake things going on here. So I like doing that and it's something different. But yeah, one day hope to have the band, but for now that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. You're going to for sure have the band. I've no doubt. No doubt. I think it's awesome that you're making it work as you can so you can still get out
Yeah.
there and play because building an audience, growing a fan base, that's how you get to that full band. So, you can't be doing that if you're not meeting people and putting yourself out there.
100%. Yeah, it's great. And like I said, easy, especially with last minute shows or especially some venues, if you're an opening act, they don't want a band either. Like it's just like, oh, we don't have too many plugs for you. We don't have any
Hmm.
space. So solo sometimes is just the easier way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wondered what is, talking about, kind of how you like to play and, how you're getting yourself out there. Have you experienced so far in your musical career any challenges like especially being a female rock musician in the industry? What do you feel like maybe one of the biggest challenges that you've faced so far?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest is age. It's not even gender, because a lot of people have asked me about the female thing, and luckily there is a great community of female artists, especially on social media, and there's even like great showcases for female artists now. So that's been great to have. I've done a lot of like, female shows, female charity shows. That's fun opportunities always. But I would say an age thing is the main issue for me because people do assume I'm even younger than I am. I'm 19, almost 20, but even in LA, like a few weeks ago, someone asked me if I wanted the kids menu, which is for 12 and under. So people do assume that I'm quite young, and that
Mhm.
doesn't help when all the venues are 21 up in LA as well. And it's just sometimes people look at you and assume you're this little cute girl. That's kind of the thing I've been put into for a long time. But they don't realize how much work goes into it. They don't realize how passionate you are, how hardworking you are. So I'm kind of trying to break that more and more each day with showing how much I do and talking more about behind the scenes and how I do everything because some people just assume, oh, little girl just doing it all for fun right now. But no, I definitely am passionate, hardworking, and that's I would say the main challenge is breaking through that stigma of looking little, which doesn't help sometimes. But some situations it does help. So it's a curse and a blessing. But yeah, I
Mhm.
would say usually that's my main challenge right now. So we'll see. But another challenge I would say might be that sometimes they don't have a band because again, it depends. Some venues don't want bands, some venues do. Some say, oh, don't message us until you have a full band. So I don't know what they do for pop artists because some pop artists, like I said, they only play with backing tracks. So I guess it depends on where you are. But yeah, that's been another issue for certain venues. But yeah, the age thing I would say is the main thing right now that I'm facing because people still think I'm quite young. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm glad. I'm sure one day I'll be glad I look young, but right now I'm not. So so
It
yeah, I'll
totally
just
makes
write a song.
sense. Totally
Yeah,
makes sense. And I think
that's
for sure one day you will be grateful that you look a little bit younger. But I can totally understand that maybe you feel like you aren't always taken as seriously being somebody who looks younger. Or maybe they assume that, like you said, it's more of a hobby or fun thing, or you have other people doing a lot of the work for you when you're actually putting in most of the hours yourself.
Yes, for sure. That is a thing. And people are already also assume that, my parents are fully musical or my parents are in the industry. There's also a strange like thing on Instagram where everyone thinks I'm the daughter of the WWE wrestler Triple H. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but we have the
No,
same
that's
last.
funny though.
Yeah, his name is like Paul Levesque. So we do have the same last name, but he's in entertainment. He's a big power figure in WWE. So people online, even on Google, when you search my name, one of the top searches is Sierra Levesque Triple H. So people, for some reason, they always want to think it's not me and I'm doing all this based on someone else's success or someone else's experience. But no, just me. My parents are not musical at all. They work regular non-musical jobs. So yeah, hopefully people will know that one day, but it's always just a little bit funny to see sometimes.
Yeah, this is all you. And I think, that's definitely something to be proud of, even if other people make assumptions. I think that will come to light as you continue your career and continue to grow. And obviously, being under 21 won't be an issue forever. So you have that to look forward to as well.
Very excited. So close. I'm like a year and a half
So
away.
close.
Yeah.
Well, how do you see your music? Like, if you were to fast forward, speaking of age and time, 50 or 60 years, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave one day with your music? And how do you hope that your music will inspire others?
Yeah, that's a really good question because there's so many things I'd love to do in that time span and I'd love to inspire. I would say the main thing is I'd love to inspire younger kids because I actually just finished doing an elementary school tour a few months ago. And that was where I really was testing. My main demographic has been older people since rock music is usually with older people. But I did 10 elementary schools, performed 3 or 4 songs each, all original. And luckily, it was a hit, which I found to be surprising because I wasn't expecting that. And that made me realize, hey, there is a space here for rock music and for the younger generation. Because right now, I feel that for the younger generation, it's Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, Chapel Roan. Those are the main few right now that are really on top. And that's great, but a lot of the lyrical things, are about boys and stuff like that. And I love writing a good love song, but I don't want that whole thing to be about me. I want it to be more about, standing up for what you believe in, kind of being the outcast, more rebellious. Not that I'm a crazy rebel in real life, but I do love that idea of just, being a bit different than everyone else in the industry right now. So one day I'd like to be known as the girl who brought rock music back to the forefront. It doesn't have to be screaming, it doesn't have to be long guitar solos. I would say it's kind of similar, like I said, to Avril Lavigne, but a bit heavier. Olivia Rodrigo still got the pop side, so I'm gonna take more of the rock side now. And yeah, that's what I hope one day that little kids, if they don't want to love all the pop artists, they say, you know what? There is a rock girl. Wow, she's really cool, especially young girls, because young girls, when they're first taking singing lessons, learn pop songs, which is what I did. And I feel that there aren't really opportunities. People just assume, people even today assume when they look at me and they say, oh, like, you must love Taylor Swift. You must be in that category. But no, I'm more of the heavy rocker, kind of trying to break that stigma for younger girls. So all those other artists are amazing, but I want to be the one who kind of showed that there was a heavier side, a different side to go. That would be just great. And any chance to inspire young kids is amazing. So yeah, I just would love to have that as my legacy somehow.
That is so awesome. I love that you're only 19 and you're already reaching back to elementary school students and trying to inspire them already. You already are so young and you're still kind of trying to be a role model for other young people. I think that is so cool. And I think for sure, I mean, you're very mature and very inspiring. And I only see good things for you coming up in the future. So I can't wait to follow your journey and see what you'll be up to.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been great and just definitely any chance to perform. And now that I know that it's been working well with these younger children, I'm definitely trying to lean into that even more. So just great to be an inspiration to anyone and hope that someday someone can have an interview like this and say that one of their inspirations was me. So we'll see, but hopefully one day.
I love that. That is the goal, right? For sure. And staying authentic to yourself too, in the journey. I think that's a tough thing to do. And it sounds like you really know who you are, what you want to say, and who you want to be. And I think that's really tough for some people to figure out. So I think it's awesome that you're right on the right track.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Trying my best.
Yes. So speaking of that, what is next for you? Or is there anything that you're currently working on? I know you mentioned kind of having a catalog of almost 25 songs done. Are those 25 songs unreleased, kind of things that you're looking to put together an album maybe? Or what's next for you?
Yeah, for sure. So with my music releasing, I decided to do singles first just to see how they go over. And with a single, you can promote that one song, put everything into it rather than an album at first, because then you have to pick a few. So I decided to do 4 singles, starting last September. And I also did a Christmas song. I'll be actually releasing another Christmas song this coming holiday season. Last year I did a cover of Run Rudolph Run, so that was cool to pay homage to Chuck Berry. But this year I actually wrote my own Christmas song called Bright Lights and Mistletoe, kind of like a pop rock Christmas vibe. I always love new Christmas songs, and my local radio station actually are always looking for them. So they said if I ever want to write one or do one, that they'd offer me airplay with my Christmas song. So that's why I did the last one, and that's why I'm doing this one again, because
I
any
love
chance to
it.
be on the radio, so fun. So that's my first plan. I'm going to be releasing a new Christmas song coming soon. And then after that, yes, with all my songs I do have enough for an album, so I decided now it's probably time for the album. I've done 4 singles. Those will still be on the album, but I would say about 12 songs. I'm going to pick the best ones, and that will kind of be a self-titled project just for people to look me up and say, here's kind of her whole sound rather than just 4 little clips of her sound. So I think it's going to be a self-titled album, Sierra Levesque by Sierra Levesque. And yeah, I'm just going to put kind of a whole array of sounds on it so that I can present it to people and people can hear kind of a full length version of all my different inspirations because I'm currently still writing new stuff, especially after the summer. So that's all going to be saved for the next project. But all the songs I have right now are going to be kind of put out into the world very soon. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, just practicing, getting as much as I can done while I'm here in Canada before I go back to LA. I'm going to do more shows when I get back there. When I am in Canada, I also teach music to kids. I teach guitar, piano, singing, and drums, so I'm doing that here in my home studio. I also work part-time for another local radio station. Like I kind of try to do as much as I can when I'm home. And yeah, then when I go back to LA, performing, always trying to make connections, networking events, and just seeing what happens, hustling as hard as I can. So yeah, stay tuned for all that and always new stuff on social media as well. I like making posts, videos, so just kind of doing as much as I can.
That's so awesome. And I think you mentioned a couple times. So are you part-time living in LA now?
Yes, yes, I am because I do have a student visa, so I'm able to do my courses. Right now I'm looking to hopefully, do some other things as well in the future. I'd love to stay there for as long as I can. So, trying to get some touring jobs, anything like that, trying to get all the paperwork ready for that in case that were to happen someday. But yeah, for now I'm able to do my courses, internships, and anything that I can unpaid. So that's great. Just get to get the experience and hopefully someday I'll move into even more opportunities. But yeah, for right now it's internships and stuff like that.
All right. So anyone in LA, Sierra is on the scene and available to work. So, well, I guess we'll wrap up here in a moment, but I like to ask kind of one final fun question. Dream collab. If you could collaborate with anyone, who would it be and why? I know you've
Yes.
mentioned a lot of your influences already, so I know it's tough, but
I know it is tough. One, I would always have to pick Ghost because they are my favorite. They're very heavy, they're very cool, and the main person who does it is actually one guy named Tobias Forge. He does everything. So that's kind of inspiring to me as well because in a lot of their recordings, he's played a lot of the instruments, he does most of the writing. So that's kind of where I find my inspiration as well for doing it independently. And then when they do live shows, he has musicians come on that are hired for the live shows. So that's kind of like how they work. And I would just love to be a part of that someday. So that would be my dream one. If I had to pick a second dream one, as you may guess, it would be Lana Del Rey. That would be kind of a genre mashup, but Ghost is more heavy, so probably be more aligned with my sound. But yeah, one day, hopefully manifesting that will be existing.
maybe all three of you together on one track.
That would be crazy.
Who knows?
Like,
Never say never, you know?
that would be awesome. That would be a dream. That would be the top.
Literally. Well, thank you so much, Sierra. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. You're such an inspiring young artist, and I'm really excited for other people to listen to this interview, get to know you a little bit more, and become a fan because I know I will definitely be following you myself. So I'm really excited to see where you go.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate any support I can get because independent artists, anything goes a long way, whether it's a one listen to a song, one view of a video, just truly appreciate it. So thank you.
Yes, exactly. So make sure everyone checks out Sierra's new music video, Authority, on YouTube, and also stream the single on Spotify or your preferred streaming platform. Thank you again so much, Sierra. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.